Welcome back to the Independent Roadmap, where we discuss all things for the independent insurance agency. And we've got a special guest with us today. I'm your host, James Roberts, the Regional Vice President for MIAA and SIAA here in the Kansas City Metro. And with me is DJ. DJ, I'll let you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself. He is with SIAA Xchange. DJ, take it away.
Hey, James, thank you so much for having me. I'm DJ Postles, Chief Underwriting Officer at SIAA Xchange. I joined the organization September 1st. I have over 25 years of P&C underwriting, distribution, leadership experience, and I've been with a multitude of carriers. My career spanned from starting out in New York City, where brought me down to Atlanta, Georgia, where I've been here for the last 10 years. So really excited to be here at SIAA Xchange, as well as joining you, James, on your podcast.
Yeah, I appreciate it, DJ. Thanks, man. It must be like a major culture shock to go from New York to Atlanta.
It was initially going from like concrete city to having cows in my backyard, but Atlanta's come a long way, a lot of development. And what I love about here is many of my neighbors are in the insurance industry. There is a huge insurance market down here, and it is really thriving in the E&S space as well.
And thank you for being our first guest. And we'll jump right in, man. So the first question is, why E&S and why is it important to the industry?
Great question. So the E&S market is approaching $130 billion of direct written premium. It is one of the fastest growing segments in the property and casualty industry. So the industry, the E&S industry, has experienced significant growth. So it's grown over the last 14 consecutive years, but over the last 7 years, it's experienced double-digit growth. So it now comprises roughly 12% of the entire US P&C insurance market, compared to only 3 to 5% 2 decades ago. So we're seeing a lot of this growth come through cat property exposure. That could be coastal wind, convective storm, wildfire, earthquake. You've got a rise in litigation and social inflation. You have admitted markets tightening their appetites, cyber, distressed property, transportation. There's a myriad of specialized risks that are driving the growth in the E&S channel.
Yeah, so it sounds like, really right around the time COVID, maybe the year after COVID started, when the market really started hardening, is when there was that double-digit growth, right? And that 12%.
Exactly.
Okay. And especially on the property side, are you seeing much on the casualty side as well, or is it primarily property?
Well, you've got a couple property and casualty lines that are softening quicker than others. So property in general is relatively is softening, increasingly softening. You've got work comp, D&O management liability, and cyber and better performing classes. Those are definitely softening. But you still have hard lines of business and lines of business that are going to remain in the E&S channel. So those, again, include your coastal, your cat exposed, habitational real estate, liquor liability. Could be very challenging, particularly in some distinct segments. As I said, transportation, trucking, and then excess liability, particularly, carriers are underwriting attachment point, particularly segments with wheels. And then they're honing in on discrete jurisdictions. So whether it's be Harris County, Texas, or Cook County, Illinois, or New York Labor Law 240 up in New York City. So underwriters are taking a discrete lens on specific jurisdictions as well, and that's where you're going to see some of the hardening.
And I think that kind of leads into like one of the other questions, like, what are some of the differences between the standard market, like your everyday Liberty Mutual, Hartfords of the world, and E&S?
Yeah, absolutely. So the standard market, as we all know, carriers need to file their forms and their rates, with the appropriate state insurance commissioners. So in the E&S market, you're not required to file forms and rates with the states. We have a lot of flexibility in around customizing forms and coverages where admitted markets can't do that. And that's where unique risks come to the E&S markets to find coverage, to find that creativity. So anything that might be complex, distressed, or unusual will come to the E&S channel. The admitted market is backed by guarantee funds, where not necessarily every E&S carrier may be backed by guarantee funds. Speed to market is critical. There's a lot of flexibility and a lot of innovation. And so that's where you're going to see, and again, that's part of that that transformative growth that the market has seen is because of that innovation. You've got a lot of insurtechs, a lot of technology coming in, and the quickest way into the insurance market is through E&S. So we are going to continue to see those technology enabled companies, insurtechs come into the E&S space. And with that, the market can respond to rapidly evolving or new exposures. And again, those lines of business that I mentioned before, or those segments, from the cat exposed to the liquor, cyber, habitational, construction, those risks will most likely remain in the E&S channel, even as the market does soften.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I've been a producer for like 7 years and prior to this role, and it really seems like there's a ton of new insurtechs coming to the market, almost like weekly, it feels like.
There are, and the market is evolving in around focusing on niches, and I think customers, insureds, and agents expect that a specialization. And so I think we're going to continue to see that specialization evolve in the market to meet the needs of discrete industry segments and discrete customers.
We'll stay on insurtech for we'll stay on technology since we just talked about the insurtech piece. How is technology playing a role in the E&S market today?
Yeah, great question. I mean, AI is like the big buzzword right now.
Yeah.
As I've been able to attend a couple of these SIAA master agency conferences here, AI is the talk of the town, and really we're just we're communicating with our agents saying, look, if you're not using AI today, get on that bandwagon, learn how to use it, because those that are not getting engaged and utilizing AI in a meaningful way will be left behind. And that goes for insurance agents, carriers, really anyone in the space. So it's going to become a core competency, and it will transform how all of us do business. So some of the key themes right now are, smart routing, leveraging AI, and this is one of the things that we're doing at Xchange is ingesting carrier appetites, right? We want to make sure that we help our agents get to the right market quickly. And it's a huge benefit for the carriers as well. It takes time and money to call through submissions, and we want to make sure that we assist our agents in getting to the right market quickly, and that the market is seeing a higher propensity of risks that they can bind. And ultimately, that is a win-win solution for the market as well as the carrier. So that smart routing will continue to play a role. On the underwriting side, AI right now and technology is able to scan submissions. It'll quickly identify, what risk characteristics or attributes are missing. There are companies out there that are doing risk scoring or underwriting quality scoring. And this is going to help underwriters determine quickly which risk has the highest propensity to bind, which risk should they prioritize working on. All things operations and routing, claims as well. Claims organizations are going to be leaning into AI and the evolving technology to help better service customers and close out claims quicker. So those are just a few examples of how AI and technology is evolving in the space.
Man, that's a lot. And it almost, you mentioned scan submissions, and I always think about like, how do we get to the top of the stack, right? And so is there a way, like, in your mind that E&S can help with that, maybe use AI, like from an independent agency perspective, use AI, help get to the top of the stack with regard to, what you guys are doing?
Yeah. So I know that, we are in discussions and, conceptually and go down the path as are other carriers of like scrubbing internet data, scrubbing publicly available data to fill in some of that information. And that is a huge lift rather than spend time, scouring the internet to have the technology to almost like populate in the underwriters, queues, so to speak, to help them better evaluate risk and to enable agents, to complete that submission. So, that is one area where I look at the underwriting skill set changing, right? It's going to allow them to more quickly assess the quality of the risk and apply some underwriting judgment, some scoring credits, debits to get that risk where it needs to be.
All right, DJ, that's awesome. Let's shift just briefly here. And one thing is one thing I'm always interested in is like, how is the role of the independent change as more business migrates to the E&S space?
Yeah, great question. So first and foremost, an agent today needs to have E&S as part of their core competency. It's no longer a segment that can be, mystical or something that an agent doesn't lean into. So I'd say if an agent doesn't feel comfortable or confident, maybe with, I don't know, something like diligent effort forms, the process, surplus lines, filings. SIAA's got a lot of great resources and training. So I encourage our agents, as well as any agent out there, get up to speed with E&S if you can. It has to be part of your core competency. How else is it changing? Well, I look at the agent, I think it's an opportunity with the increasing complexity and the landscape to become not just a seller of insurance, but a risk advisor. It's really important for our agents today to make sure that they are articulating to the customer, and get them comfortable that, hey, this line of business or your operation needs to go E&S. We articulate to our agents saying, hey, don't decline or pass on an opportunity if one of the 4 lines of business is E&S. Maybe it's nat cat property exposed. Maybe it's a products liability exposure. Maybe it's a heavy auto, but make sure that the agent takes a consultative approach and informs the customer of why it's E&S. And there's a huge education opportunity there for the agent. So we talked about, core competency, get comfortable, consultative opportunity. And I think it's also an opportunity for agents to grow their book of business. E&S is more mainstream. It is a core market and a segment. So it's no longer the exception. And then for those agents that are on that technology bandwagon, great opportunity to lean into not only just AI, but you're seeing, and here we're doing the same thing, is portals are universally acceptable. So right down to the CSR, they can become competent in accessing E&S quotes through digital platforms, through single sign-on. So all of this, this whole ecosystem, is driving change for the agent. But again, I just encourage all of them to lean into the opportunity because it is here to stay. The one final point I'll hit on is I look at the market saying over time is that it will continue to democratize, right? It'll become more universally available for small independent agents. You look at 20 years ago, the larger wholesalers were the ones driving the E&S market. Now we have technology coming in, and agents have an increasing opportunity to have access to more of those E&S markets. So I do think that will be part of the evolving nature of the E&S market, but also a great opportunity for our agents.
Yeah, I love the idea of leaning in, right? Like when you're producing and you get a risk that doesn't just fit the standard market. And I think of like property or something like that. Like maybe you have a risk where you can place the auto, the GL, excess inside that standard carrier, but you need to put the property building. Maybe it's an old building that hasn't been updated in 30 years or something like that. So it's great to lean in and really kind of like, and that's, I think, the role of the independent side, right? Like we get to get creative on how we put these deals together sometimes.
Yep. Totally agreed. And again, I think E&S over time, it's going to become more intelligence driven, right? And even for agents, like leaning into AI to support their customers, to think about like risk management, and then also engaging and connecting with the myriad of markets. So I think now is the time for the independent agent to seize that opportunity and lean into E&S and make it a core competency.
Yeah, I agree with that. And you mentioned something about the small independent agencies. How is SIAA Xchange helping the small agents kind of level the playing field here?
Yeah. So the one thing I love about SIAA is that SIAA is a huge proponent and supporter of entrepreneurs and startups. So we see a good percentage of our agents coming out of various captive agencies, right? They're entrepreneurs. They want to grow their book of business. So I really love that about SIAA specifically. And now here at Exchange and all of the other investments going on at the SIAA corporate level, we have an opportunity to help educate our agents, to help get them access to markets. And maybe it's as simple as a digital offering through single sign-on coming into our platform and directing them directly into the carrier's platform. That's a huge lift for a small independent agent, also trading with us on the underwriting side as well. We want to make sure that our agents at all spectrums, from startup all the way to the well-established ones, have an opportunity to compete at a much higher level without navigating a lot of the noise or the friction. And so we're building a very unique proprietary member platform, integrating AI, appetite and carrier ingestion, and a myriad of smart routing tools. So I say stay tuned for our SIA agents. We're working on a lot of great things. But again, at the core, we want to make sure that we allow our agents to place business more efficiently in the E&S channel, because at the end of the day, we want to support them not only placing it, but they want to focus in on what matters most. That's engaging with their customers, building their pipeline, and supporting their team. And so that's where I see a huge lift in opportunity for Exchange, adding value to our SIA members.
Wow, that's fantastic. Thinking in the future, like what specialty product or categories would you expect to have the biggest growth over the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, that's a great question. As I said before, I think there are just some core products that will just stay within the E&S channel. And so those are your habitational real estate, obviously your coastal risks, your liquor, your trucking, excess liability. As long as we continue to have challenging jurisdictions, what we call judicial hellholes, excess liability may remain challenging for certain segments, certain jurisdictions. But then you've got emerging risks. We've got cannabis, right? Cannabis and or cyber. I often question, hey, how is AI going to continue to evolve and change the landscape for cyber? Is that fully and universally known and understood today? I think that could be a catalyst for hardening in cyber, or a little more firming than what it is today. But I think anything emerging will be in the E&S channel. Parametric is also another evolving product that is becoming demystified. It's another way for insureds to purchase a unique insurance policy that would supplement the way they manage risk today. So Parametric was not very well known and understood just 5-10 years ago, and we're seeing that becoming more mainstream and also a part of the E&S channel.
My knowledge, talk about Parametric. What is it?
So a parametric insurance policy is typically natural catastrophe led. So let's take wind, for example, wind or earthquake. And so it's not your traditional insurance policy. It's a way that an insured could put their capital or their premium dollars to use in a different way. So let's say it's just based purely on the probability of that event happening based on where they're located. So if there is a hurricane coming up the Gulf Coast in Florida, and an insured purchased a parametric insurance policy for a specified limit, if that hurricane went through that area, like within a radius, as the underwriters or the carriers calculate that, but the insured did not sustain any wind damage, by virtue of that event happening, they would be eligible for a possible, a potential payout depending on the terms of that policy. Similarly, in California earthquake, if an earthquake struck, but the insured did not sustain any damage, by virtue of where the epicenter of the earthquake happened, that may trigger the policy. So that insured could take that income, and they don't need to put that to use in rebuilding because maybe there was limited or no sustained damage. So that's just a unique insurance policy. Now, if they did sustain damage and they did trigger the policy, obviously they could use those insurance funds to use that to rebuild their property.
Super interesting. At first, I thought you were heading in like a difference in conditions type policy, but it sounds entirely different. Almost like a win hell buyback type program, right?
Yeah, you know what, and insureds are using that to supplement, right? And particularly some of the larger corporate risks, those with like risk managers. But Parametric is moving down market, so it is coming to the small to middle market segment where I was at a prior carrier years ago that was one of the industry leaders in the space, and we were at that time selling to global corporate businesses, national U.S. businesses, but that is evolving, and I think over time it will become more mainstream and more understood. But again, back to that consultative approach, great opportunity for an agent to get up to speed and potentially sell a different product, and it may be very meaningful for some customers depending on their propensity to take on some risk or take risk off their balance sheet.
So DJ, we've talked a lot about AI and technology and everything, and the platforms and everything that SIAA Xchange is doing to help streamline and make things easier. However, I still think E&S is still a relationship-based business, and those relationships are important, and it's where a lot of learning can happen. How does that work with Exchange? Can you talk to us about that?
Absolutely. So we here at Exchange, and I think this would go true for other wholesalers out there. We believe in relationships, right? And while AI is coming in, it's not going to replace relationships. It is incredibly important to make sure that underwriter to agent build up that trust. And I reflect upon my career of building up that trust. And when you trust an agent or an agent trusts a market and you build up that understanding, you have a huge opportunity to support each other, make sure you're driving efficiencies, you're educating each other. So I love that relationship aspect. And again, AI is not going to remove that. I think it's going to remain ever important between underwriter and agent, but also, again, agent to customer. So, the large consulting companies like the McKinseys of the world years ago said, "Hey, the independent agent is dead or dying." No, that is so far from the truth, and which is great. And we highlight that a lot at SIAA. Huge opportunity to drive value through relationships and taking a consultative approach. So I just think AI in the end is going to be an enabler to drive more efficiencies and early days back-end processes. It'll allow us to get through more volume and better service our customers. But that relationship aspect will remain paramount for the markets and the agents.
All right, so DJ, I saw something exciting that you guys posted on LinkedIn recently, and it was that you guys are now a Lloyd's cover holder status. Talk to us about that, and talk to us about the significance of that.
Yeah, that was a really exciting milestone at Exchange for us within weeks to achieve Lloyd's cover holder status. And so what that does is it allows Exchange, basically it signals credibility. It signals credibility and underwriting trust. Once we've gone through that appointment process, it creates faster access for us. And so we are accelerating many conversations with the Lloyd's of London markets. It enables us at Exchange to drive more product innovation and work with new markets. And it allows for delegated underwriting authority, where we're building out that delegated underwriting authority E&S binding markets. And we just hired 2 new underwriters on our team. And so we're going to continue to grow as our agency appointments grow, as our business grows and scales, and as our markets grow. And finally, becoming a Lloyd's cover holder matters to our retail agents because it will allow more market access. And we have an opportunity to talk to our agents who may have a discrete book of business where we can put our heads together, have a discussion with our agents, go out to the Lloyd's of London, and we will get to that point where we will be propping up unique or bespoke program. And whether that be with one particular large independent agency with a particular book, or representing all of our members across the 5,200 independent agent network we have. So we're really excited about that Lloyd's of London cover holder. And Hunter, my boss, has been very active in the London market. So I would say stay tuned because the more great things are on the horizon for us and our members.
That's exciting. I think the number one thing I want to do most in insurance is go to Lloyd's and see the syndicate. So if you're there, I'd appreciate an invite. Thank you.
I will remember that. But James, I mean, I've been a world traveler in insurance, but I'm embarrassed to say I have yet to walk the halls of Lloyd's of London. So that is also on my to-do list next time I get over there.
Okay. Well, we'll do it together, maybe. Who knows? Um, no, it's like it's just been one of those things. Like as a student of the like a craft of the industry, it's one of those like just top tier things that you've got to get done once.
Yep, exactly. Got to check the box.
Yeah. Well, this is great, DJ. We certainly appreciate this and your time. And just one last question for you. You know, as you think about the E&S marketplace, what would you anticipate, in your opinion at least, that the E&S marketplace would look like 5 years from now?
Yep. I think it's going to become core. And so I pointed out some facts and figures of growth. Today, within the commercial P&C space, E&S comprises approximately 25% of that. So I think we're going to continue to see E&S grow in general. It will become core, more mainstream. It'll become more digital, right? More API driven. Technology will be table stakes. MGAs will continue to take up market share. And we talked about niche and specialization. The E&S space is a fantastic opportunity for carriers to reach new distribution points, as well as entrust their capacity and underwriting to quality organizations, because it allows these carriers to diversify their portfolio away from that standard Main Street core competency business. I see growth being more disciplined, and I'm seeing that today. Carriers and underwriters want better quality risks in their portfolio versus just chasing rate. So I think that is a theme today, and that will continue into the future. We talked about access becoming more democratized, right? It'd be more universal and easily accessible. I think we're going to continue to see wholesale consolidation, and niches, again, will continue to be of more importance. And again, retail agencies, I highly recommend, if you're not fluent in E&S, make sure that that is another arrow in your quiver. And finally, the final point in around the future of E&S, it'll become less transactional and more intelligence driven. Back to that smart routing, back to that scanning, and allowing underwriters to make quicker decisions. And it's certainly going to help agents touch their customers and respond to their submissions and their opportunities more quickly.
Awesome. And for those agencies who are part of SIAA, but maybe not yet associated with the exchange or appointed with the exchange, how can they reach out? How can they get appointed?
Great question. And we're seeing appointments come in daily, which is fantastic to see. We're having more and more conversations with our SIAA members. The members can go on the SIAA Intranet Connect, and they can locate Exchange under Markets. They can also email me directly. And I know that everybody in our network and our ecosystem has my contact information. So more than happy to pick up the phone. We love conversations. We're having some wonderful conversations. And the final comment in around our agents, they are totally bought in, which is great. They're giving us wonderful recommendations around what they want to see, the markets and the lines of business. So I just want to say thank you to all of our members who have been so committed and engaged early days. And for those of you who are not yet signed up or engaged, give me a call. Our team looks forward to working with you.
All right, DJ, we appreciate it.
James, thank you so much. I was really looking forward to this. It was a great discussion, and I look forward to working with you and the rest of your members here in the near future.
Sounds great. Awesome. Thanks, DJ.